Now, many of our big TV sports stories have been brought to you by this duo. Keith Quinn and John Macbeth join us to relive our golden sports moments. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the couch.
Pleasure, mate.
Should we relive one of those wonderful sporting moments?
Get into it. Which one is it?
Let's have a look.
And watch Van Dam right on behind John Walker. He's very strong. Walker's got the front. He's got to stay there. Walker, Van Dam, Coughlin. Wellman coming strongly. In the best traditions of Jack Lovelock and Peter Snell, John Walker wins the 1,500 metres gold medal at the Olympic Games.
How do you practice for that, Keith? Did you sort of, you know...
Well, I had that line all prepared.
Did you have it prepared?
Yeah, but actually they've done a little thing with the editing there, so that I left it till after he'd finished across the finishing line. Now they've brought the sound up, so I actually start saying that before he's run the race, which is a wee bit naughty, but that's okay. It wasn't a bad line, I thought.
A very good line. Yeah. And interestingly too, just listening to that, Keith, that's the television commentary, isn't it? Where lots of space, lots of time, silence, so people could watch and form their own opinions and that without someone, you know, screaming at you all the way through.
Well, I had it in my mind.
It was brilliant. Yeah.
I had it in my mind that if Walker was in the lead, everyone was screaming their heads off. So what's the point of having a commentator screaming his head off as well? So I said, Walker's in front, he's got to stay there, and then let it go right through to the finish. And then I had my little pre-prepared. I also had a pre-prepared line. I haven't told John this. I have a pre-prepared line if he didn't win. Yeah. Which you have to do to cover.
Loser.
You're such a professional, Keith. You're such a professional. Now, we've got a number of...
Interesting, though, that because when Walker went across the line, they then had that funny sort of design thing, didn't they?
Which, around the close-up.
Yeah, around it. And I wonder if they sort of regret doing that now, because you never had quite the highlight shot that you wanted later.
Now, I want you guys to commentate over these next events. It's the 74th Commonwealth Games.
Right, Commonwealth Games.
You don't have to commentate, you just talk.
Well, there's Richard Taylor. There he is. That's one of the great shots of New Zealand sports history, winning the 10,000 metres, 27.46.
Who came second and third?
Exactly, you don't see them, do you?
No, you know.
They were there, apparently.
What happened?
There you go, John. Cue John.
Well, this is where the front row in the audience were starting to think, oh, we've got to get out of here. The front row had Princess Anne in it, yes. And Graham May were a fantastic competitor, and sadly he's remembered for that more than anything. This is the greatest
1,500 metre race of all time. Yep. This guy, Filbert Bay, he set a world record, and he led from start to finish, and they couldn't catch him. It was a magnificent race. Look at the time, 3:32.2. I don't think anyone's run faster in an Olympic or Commonwealth Games final. John, cue John.
Yes, and Janie Parkhouse, who had struggled to even make the team because her form had been so poor, but an inspirational selection saw her in this event where she won the gold, and we saw this smile here, that one there, forever, didn't we? And I saw it again just recently. We showed a photo, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Actually, what was
awards a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. So Janie Parkhouse gold.
We know that the World Cup's coming up very soon, next year, 87 World Cup.
Yeah, well, that was a fantastic tournament. A little different. It was very small chips compared with the huge world event it is now.
Yeah, but the nation got in behind it, didn't they?
They did. It took a while to get going. Some of the games were played in some of the cities with tiny crowds. We tend to forget that. But the final was packed out, and it was a great game. And, gosh...
Let's have a look at some footage, Keith.
We deserved to win it.
Yeah.
Kirk was exactly the man for the occasion.
Jones. Kick. David Kirk. Kerwin. Oh, I don't believe it.
29-9, and so for the very first time, the World Cup was held aloft by an All Black skipper.
Now, where were you two when that was happening?
Well, Macbeth and I... We're the only guys, still the only guys who've commentated New Zealand winning the Rugby World Cup. Yeah. I did the TV, John did the radio.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
It's amazing.
And we're so lucky on Good Morning.
Hopefully we're not saying that this time.
Well, we'd like more people to join our little club.
Yeah.
Hey, now, well, you know what? Speaking of club, I'm going to bring somebody on the couch who's won a number of amazing events over the years. Susan Devoy. Come and have a seat with us, Susan.
Gentlemen.
Susan Devoy.
Now, you would remember...
I've heard of Susan Devoy.
You've heard of Susan Devoy before?
Yeah.
No, I remember I met Susan Devoy, and she says she can't remember this, but she was in the New Zealand junior women's squash team in Australia one time, and they were having a meal over there, and all the reporters from the rugby tour were over there. We got together, and someone said, look at Susan, she's only 14, look at the size of her feet. And we all went like that, and we couldn't see. So you put your feet up on the table in the restaurant. Do you remember that, Susan?
No, I'd never done anything like that.
I don't imagine you doing that.
I was there.
No.
Far too
Little
classy
Susan
for that.
Devoy.
I was probably overwhelmed meeting all those famous journalists.
Yeah, quite possibly. Susan, do you have like a favourite sporting moment when you were growing up? I know you talked to Sarah before about some of your most memorable, but looking back at some of those with John Walker winning...
I think there's just so many, really,
Yeah.
you know. But I think John Walker in my lifetime was pretty special, you know, and I think I was at the Olympics and saw Rob Waddell win his gold. That's, I mean, pretty amazing to be there, you know, to actually happen.
What about with all those boys and brothers of yours? I mean, it would be rugby, wouldn't it?
There were no famous sporting moments. No.
They had to wait for Sis, eh? They had to wait for Sis for all those famous moments.
Yeah. And I think you remember your fathers getting up in the... fathers and brothers getting up in the middle of the night to watch the TV or listen to the radio. Might have been even back then, so... But the Rugby
old.
World Cup, I went to the final, 1987.
Did you?
And as you said, it was quite a sort of small, not small, but it was different than what we see today, don't they? But
There's also a lovely story, Susan, about when the boys played in the World Cup, they came over to a function.
Yeah, I told
you had.
Brendan that Mad Butcher organised a dinner for me on the Friday night. And towards the end of the evening, the busload of All Blacks came after they'd played Italy that day. And, you know, John Kirwan and David Kirk all came in and didn't just stay and have one beer.
They had a couple.
And said some nice words. And, you know, would that ever happen today?
Oh,
No.
I doubt it.
They won't. Hey, listen, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back, and Susan, you'll be staying with us for the second part, if you don't mind. No, not at all.
Nothing else to
More
do.
memories with Keith and John and Susan. Don't go anywhere. We're back with Keith and John and Dame Susan Devoy celebrating 50 years of sporting moments. Remember the America's Cup, boys? The 1995 America's Cup?
I certainly do. I spent 6 months in San Diego, Brendan, for that, and my knowledge of yachting at the time was quite limited, and so I went away thinking,
Still
what on
is,
earth am I...
still is.
Yeah. Thank you very much. But I knew the pointy bit was the bow. That was the main thing.
that was
but
the main thing.
what a stunning time to be over there. And
It's the stern.
yeah.
Point of it.
I tell you what, should we have a look at the
let's
clip
have a
and
look,
find
because
work out
they-
which is which?
They'd stunned the world with this. There was a team which was far less resourced than any of the others, but they had these great sailors on board, and Russell Coots, and of course we know practically you could name the entire crew that sailed during 1995.
Roll that clip, please, people.
Yeah, come on, let's have a look at this.
America's Cup is now New Zealand's Cup, and for only the second time in 144 years, the most illustrious and elusive of prizes in sailing, international sport's oldest prize, leaves the United States, this time to a different down under, New Zealand!
Montgomery.
Oh yeah, I remember travelling with the crew over to New York to the New York Yacht Club, and there was a big function over there, and heading back through to San Diego, where everyone suddenly packed up and dispersed. You know, it was quite a sad moment. Except a lot of us came back on the plane that brought the crew back to New Zealand as well. But there was this great euphoria, and the whole country. We didn't realise until we got back how much that campaign had affected New Zealanders with the red socks.
What's the left side and what's the right side of the yacht? Come on.
Always remember, there's no port left in the bottle.
Let's go indoors now. 96 Atlanta Olympics. A good friend of yours, Daniel Loader, had a fantastic Olympics. Let's have a look at a clip and then we'll come back and have a chat.
Lead with 1 length to go, 50 metres to go, and touching first, it's Daniel Loader.
Loader, stay underneath the wake. Now here he comes now, high body position. Look at those legs driving very, very high in the water. He can see the swimmers around him. He's starting to break away. This is where Loader is at his most dangerous. He's leading the pack.
25 metres to go. Is this going to be gold for Daniel Loader? Daniel Loader of New Zealand leads.
Loader in the centre of the pool now. We're going to have an Olympic gold medal here. Daniel Loader going to win this event.
Loader wins. Loader wins gold for New Zealand and becomes the first New Zealand swimmer to win an individual gold medal at an Olympics.
We all remember that. We all remember that.
The commentator's getting a bit excited there.
Very excited.
Yes, notice the difference between 1976 and that John Walker race, where there was pauses, and here's
You were filling it.
two guys screaming.
Listen, I don't blame you.
But I remember having to actually stop Anthony Moss. He was going, we like to have that last moment, where it's replayed over and over and it's our voices on it. And I thought, I'm in danger of losing this one. Anthony was standing up, so I just put my hand over his mouth. Loader wins.
Loader wins. Hey, let's move on to the 87 World Cup. Susan, you were telling me that you went along to the 87 World Cup final. Did you enjoy it? Great moment?
Yeah, well, history, you know, in lots of ways. It was the first World Cup and we won, and that hasn't happened for a long time, hasn't it? So, you know, but that will all change next year, hopefully.
One other television coverage. I have a email sent in from Shona Dangan. I remember when Keith Quinn said, oh, Jonah Lomu, we'll never forget it. Should we have a look at that clip? Replay
It's
it
the
and
first
listen
time
to
it's
it.
been mentioned today.
Let's go.
No sign yet of an early penalty by referee Hilditch. Basham again, New Zealand maintaining possession. Wide to Lomu. He's got the bounce. He's handed off his opposite. Lomu. All muscle and pump. He's over for the early try. 2 minutes into the game. Jonah Lomu.
Yeah, what can I say? That's
That was
probably the most
played.
exciting rugby moment I've ever been involved with. That's why it was kind of, well, breathtaking. And then he went and did it again and again and again in the same game. It was just staggering. Just a little reminder every time I see it of just how great Lomu was as a player.
Any other outstanding moments that stand out for you over the years, of 50 years of TV? I mean, I think of the US Open being won by Michael Campbell, you know, a huge event.
Yeah.
Any others that sort of stand out for any of you?
Did you go? You were the one the year after when the All Blacks won the series in South Africa in '96. The one up in Pretoria. That was a fantastic game, a great moment there. So that was a good one.
Well, Susan's here. I remember the buzz we got being on a rugby tour when Ross Norman won the world title. And a couple of our journalists left the rugby to go to, where was that, in Toulon? I'm not too sure. Anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't too long.
Yeah, and to interview Norman afterwards because, as you know, squash struggled to get recognition, but for Norman to get up and win it over Jahangir Khan was sensational, and that you know, I was almost there, like in the same country, and we're talking more about the squash and his performance than we were about the rugby at the time.
I also commentated when Valerie won the gold medal in the shot put last year at Beijing Olympics 2008. It was 32 years from the commentary I did on Walker to the commentary I did on Valerie. 32 years waiting for New Zealand to win a gold medal in my commentary time. So they're few and far between.
And it's quite amazing when you're at an event like a Commonwealth Games or an Olympic Games and you're actually there and you hear the national anthem. I remember in Athens, I mentioned before, you're hearing the national anthem of New Zealand when you're overseas makes you feel so proud.
Well, you were there when Sarah Elmer won, weren't you? And I got there just at the end as she was winning. And if you're there and experience that anthem, and that's what I remember most about Loader winning, was that, you know, the feeling of the anthem and a small bunch of Kiwis cheering their hearts off. They're beating the best in the world. It's fantastic.
Hey guys, that's all we've got time for. Thank you so much for joining us once again.
We're all nostalgic.
Susan, thank you for joining the panel as well.